Hi guys, welcome back to JMD Detailing. Today I'm going to be talking you through a safe wash on this Golf R. This is its first clean since it was coated about 4 weeks ago, so we're going to run through the processes and the techniques and the tools and products that I use to perform a safe wash on a car. A few little tips and tricks, do's and don'ts, and we'll get a nice clean car at the end of it. Step one then, pre-wash. Car's fairly grubby. You want to try and remove as much dirt, traffic film, debris as you possibly can before you make contact with the car. So step one is always pre-wash. You want to be using a nice citrus pre-wash or a mildly diluted degreaser solution. Something like Bilthamber Surf X HD is ideal. Spray that on the car. Let it soak for a few minutes, weather permitting, obviously. You don't want to be sitting with chemicals on the car in direct sun. If you are, be conscious of where you are, try and work in the shade if possible, and if not, work in smaller sections. Don't lather the whole car in pre-wash and let it sit to bake in the sun. We'll get that on, we'll let it sit for a few minutes, let the chemical do its work, and then we'll give the car a thorough rinse to remove as much as possible. So as you can see, the pre-wash is going on pretty much the lower 2/3 of the car. I will hit the bonnet, but it likely won't go on the roof because that's going to be the least dirty area. Obviously the full car will get a rinse, but this is just to remove as much traffic film and debris from the dirtiest sections of the car as possible. We are coming towards the end of summer, so make sure you pay a bit of attention to the front end. Bug splats and traffic film tend to build up, and with a good soak of pre-wash you'll find that they'll soften up nicely and they should come off as part of the rinse. If not, hit them again. Right, so pre-wash complete. The wheels have had a good pre-rinse. I've also flushed all the arches out whilst I was going around the remainder of the car. So we're going to move on to wheels and arches now. The majority of the dirt's come off the wheels. We're going to attack them with a wheel cleaner, various brushes and wash pads, and we'll also give the arches a bit of a scrub out while we're on as well. So I use my wheel cleaner through a foam sprayer. I find that it's a nicer way than using wheel cleaner straight. It generates a lot of foam and you can actually see the foam actively bringing the dirt and the brake dust away from the surface. It just gives you a more lubricated way of washing wheels. So we'll spray the wheel down, cover the wheel, the caliper and the tyre, give that a good scrub while we're on, and we'll have a look at the results. So I tend to start on the face. I'll agitate the face, where the wheel nuts are, around the badges, and then move in from there on. I'm using a soft brush on these wheels. Again, you want to try and be as kind and as gentle as you possibly can when you're making contact with them. Just to gently sort of agitate and lift the dirt away. And you can see already that that wheel cleaner has picked up the brake dust and it's sort of migrating to the bottom of the wheel, which is ideally what we want. So I'll move on to the wash pad now. We're going to wash around the spokes. I tend to work clockwise and then anti-clockwise. That way, I guess it's just a best practice thing. You're not dragging the dirt from the bottom of the wheel back up to the top. I guess in the same way that you'd wash the car, but you'll see that when we move on to the wash stage. So once you've done the front of the spokes, you want to be in around the back. These wash pads are really good for sitting in the groove behind the spokes that a lot of these new style wheels tend to have. You tend to see over time that brake dust can build up in those areas if they're not tended to regularly. So sitting the mitt or the pad behind that area and giving it a wipe, just part of your regular wheel cleaning regime, is a good way to go. So once we've done the spokes and then around the inner spokes, we'll move on to the caliper. Give that an agitate. Just get in wherever you can with your brush. Again, just trying to be as kind and as gentle as you possibly can in conjunction with your wheel cleaner. And then for barrels, I use the Easy Detail brush. I find that wheel woolies, I mean, yeah, wheel woolies are safe. These brushes are safe. Don't be under any illusions that the Easy Detail brush isn't safe. But a wheel woolly, if you've got delicate finishes, is definitely the safest way to go. With this, however, I just find that it's a little bit more flexible. They don't snag on brake discs or any other chassis component that might be in there. Again, work from top to bottom, so you're not dragging the dirt around the wheel. Little tickle of the top and bottom of the caliper with the Easy Detail brush. And then finally, your tyre. This is a sidewall scrubbing brush. This will just pull any old dressings, greases, road traffic film, anything like that out of the tyre before you dry them and dress them before you finish the car. Now that the wheel clean's complete, we'll move on to the arch. Again, we're back to citrus pre-wash. This is great for maintenance. Flush some of that into the arch, give it a good scrub, and then rinse it out. These Go Easy brushes, I find that are ideal for wheel arches. Call it what you want. Bod brush, Go Easy brush. These do the job really, really well. I'm going to be reaching right in past the back of the wheel. And then reach in through the back just to get that section of wheel arch behind your wheel. Wheels and arches done then, we'll move on to door shuts and returns now. I like to do these before the contact wash stage. Generally, shuts can get quite grubby. If you're doing weekly maintenance on a car, if you're washing your car every week, they might not get as dirty and you probably won't need to pay as much attention to them, but I'm just going to flush a bit of citrus pre-wash through them now, agitate them with a soft detailing brush. And then as part of the rinse stage, after we apply foam to the car, we'll just direct the jet at the shuts, and that should pull the majority of the pre-wash out, to be followed with a wipe over once the car's clean. These aren't actually too bad. If they are incredibly dirty, I tend to direct the jet wash at the shut. There's always a bit of a concern that you're gonna absolutely soak the interior if you're using the jet wash in door shuts. There is a technique. So what I tend to do is aim the gun away from the car first and then reduce the jet of water into the shut, and generally that'll stop you from getting any sort of back spray into the car or anything like that. Also, it's good practice just to carry a cloth in your pocket. If you get a little bit here in the plastics or anything like that, just give it a quick wipe over and then move on. Any cloth will do. Obviously you'll see that this has been used prior. Quick wipe and you're good to go. So again, Soft detailing brush, a different one to what you use for wheels. Of course, you don't want to be cross-contaminating a dirty brush that's used for very dirty jobs into anything involving paintwork. So fresh brush, you've got your pre-wash and your shut. Again, agitate from top to bottom. The bottom is the dirtiest area, so you don't want to be moving the dirt back up the car in any way, shape or form. That's a great practice to get into if you want to keep your car looking good. I will put links in the description for the tools that I've used to perform the maintenance clean today on the Golf. You know, you don't need to be spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds to get good results. You can look after your car as an enthusiast, as a weekend warrior at home with a pretty basic kit and get great results week in, week out. So pre-wash stages are done, wheels are done, all the shuts are done. We're gonna foam the car now before we rinse that off and actually crack on with the contact wash. This is the last stage of the pre-wash process. This just removes any sort of last little bits of dirt, traffic film or debris that may have been missed in the pre-wash stage. Ultimately though, the pre-wash does the majority of the work. This is just the showy stuff really. So now the foam's on, you get into the tight work. Don't make the cardinal sin of putting snow foam on the car before you've performed a pre-wash and a pre-rinse stage. Ultimately then, you're just grinding dirt into all of those tight areas that you would struggle to correct afterwards if you were gonna go ahead and machine polish the car. So perform a thorough pre-wash, a full pre-rinse, remove as much dirt as you possibly can before you get into the tight work. Again, very little pressure. You're just getting into those areas that a wash mate won't touch or won't reach. So I always do the filler cap last. Generally, I mean on cars that aren't as well maintained as you'd maybe like your own to be, or my clients tend to see me fairly regularly, this can be quite a grubby area. So I always tend to agitate the filler cap last. And then again, you're not risking cross-contamination. So the car's been rinsed off. You'll see in some of the shots that the car for the most part's clean. That's the whole reason you go through as many pre-wash stages as you do. You know, you get the pre-wash on, good thorough pre-rinse, spend as much time as you're happy with getting the dirt off the car before you make contact with it. You know, the contact wash is the last step really in this wash process, and it's almost just a cursory measure. You're making contact with the paint to remove the last 10-15% of dirt that hasn't come off in the pre-wash stages. So we'll wash the car, we'll get it clean, and we'll get it dried off. So the technique I'm using is the 2-bucket wash method. This is probably the best way to keep your car scratch and swirl free. Ultimately, the whole premise behind the technique is that once you've washed a panel, your mitt comes into the rinse bucket. You're rinsing any sort of dirt or debris that you've picked up as part of that contact with the car, and keeping it in the rinse bucket away from your shampoo solution so that you're not transferring dirt back onto the vehicle. So once I've done a panel, I'll go back to the rinse it out. I have got grit guards in the bottom of here, so you just give it a quick scrub on the grit guard, rinse it out, and then you're okay to make contact again. So here, half the roof. Back into the rinse water, and then back into your shampoo solution. And then you're ready to go again. So wash is done. We come to the drying stage now. This is the most crucial part if you want to keep your car swirl free. The majority of damage happens during the drying phase. If you're going to dry it with towels, there are techniques and processes that you can use to dry it with towels. Generally, the best way to do it is to have a couple of towels and pat the car dry. If you're going to use it on the upper sections, drag the towel across the panel. Don't make contact and sweep backwards, forwards, because you've got no lubricity between the towel and the car, and that's where damage occurs. So we're going to go ahead and blow the remaining water off the car now. Not everybody will have one of these. There are cheaper alternatives than a proper dedicated vehicle blower. Pet dryers are decent. You can get them on the likes of Amazon and eBay. They're about 50, 60 quid. Or leaf blowers. A decent, powerful leaf blower will do exactly the same job. And again, you can pick them up 40, 50 quid. And that'll just remove the remainder of the water from the car without us having to make contact with it. So now the car's been dried, I'm just wiping it over with a quick detail spray just to remove any sort of remaining water spots that may have been left on the car. I'm using IGL Enhancer. This is specifically formulated to work well with the IGL coating that's on the car. It is SiO2 based, so plays well with any sort of coated vehicle. It is a very, very easy product to use. It is just spray, wipe, and you're done, pretty much. This will help maintain the coating between regular maintenance. It removes water spots and just adds that extra little bit of gloss. So that's maintenance on the Golf R complete, looking absolutely spectacular. Let us know in the comments below whether you like the video and what you want to see in the next ones. I will leave links in the description on all of the products that we've used today to do the maintenance clean on the Golf R. If you're happy with the content, you love it, make sure you like the page, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks guys.